I did some work on this Golf recently, and I thought a video on lifting its front end would be useful to newcomers to this car, as its jacking sills aren't, they're not long enough to take axle stands at the same time as the jack. So let's say you want to jack up the front to get under the engine or gearbox or front wheels or whatever, and you have the fairly typical floor jack and axle stand set up like this. This is a cheap 1.5 ton floor hydraulic jack. Small and easy to use, and a pair of ratchet style axle stands. Okay, so first thing you do is ensure that the rear wheels are locked securely so that the car can't go moving on you. In my case here, I'm just jamming on the handbrake, and that's enough because this garage floor is perfectly flat, and I'm not going to be putting any real force on the car when I'm underneath it. It would, however, be better practice to use something to chock the rear wheels. Then you want to find the jacking points. They're marked on the car's sills with a little indentation in the steel, but they can be a little hard to see, especially if the car's dirty. So it's here in the middle of this frame. You can see the sort of dimple, and same on the other side. And when you go underneath that, you will see this little length of reinforced and curled steel plate which extends down, and that's the official jacking point. And it's where you would put your spare wheel jack, for example, when you get a puncture in the middle of nowhere and you need to change a wheel. But it's okay to use that for a floor jack or axle stand as well. Now, if you're using a floor jack like this one, you want to have a reliable head on it. Here I want the steel on the jacking point to sit through these lower points so that there's no way that the jack can slip out. And I'm also going to then use this bit of carpet just to try to protect the paintwork on the car. But there looks like there's a problem, as I'll show you. See, it looks like the jack and axle stand won't both fit at the same time. So if I move the jack right forward as far as it will go, and then go ahead and jack the car up, enough until I can slide the axle stand underneath, you can see that there's not enough room for both at the same time. Typical. So you need another point to jack from, and if you look further under the car, there's this subframe bracket with a nice bolt head on the outside, which a jack head can sit around. So what's nice about this bolt is it's where this bracket is bolted directly to the car's chassis. You can see the red paint up above, and the bolt is compressing on this large cast alloy bracket, which is quite clearly strong enough to take the weight. So you can maneuver the jack head into position and go ahead and lift the car up as high as you need. Now you just want to keep the jack's body out of the way of where you want to put the axle stand, of course. And then once it's up high enough, you set your axle stand and then let the car down so that its original jacking point rests on the axle stand. Then, of course, you just repeat on the other side. One advantage of putting the axle stands on the jacking points at the outside of the car, by the way, is that not only is the car very stable like that, but they stay out of your way. As you can see in this shot, there's nothing under the car for you to, bang your head against or to kick your legs against when you're sliding around under there. And also make sure that you set your axle stands to the same height, by the way. You don't want a uneven lift. Then, before you do any work under the car, just give the whole thing a good push with your legs and feet clear of the car, obviously, just to check that it's all solid and isn't going anywhere. And I always leave the jack in place on the last lift point, just as a safety backup, and I suggest that you do too. If you're taking the wheels off, it's even more important, as the car obviously would have further to fall, so it's even more dangerous. And in that case, you can slide one of the wheels under the sill, also just as that's just one idea. Otherwise, you're good now to get under the car and do whatever it is you need to do. And lowering the car is, of course, just the reverse of all this. Lift the one side with the jack again, remove the axle stand out from under the car, and then lower the car as gently as you can using the jack. Okay, hope that was helpful. Have fun.